Yahoo!
Hi, Connor.
How are you?
I am so good. How are you?
Oh, so good.
So well?
So well.
Yes.
Good intro.
That was
good intro.
It's not your best intro. I'll give you that much.
Me?
Yeah.
It was my job this week. Oh, it's our third birthday today. Actually, to the day. It's happy birthday 50%. So it's been 3 years to the day since we uploaded the Rose review.
That's right.
And we've grown so much.
Mm-hmm.
And
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we've gotten a little bit taller.
A little bit taller.
A little bit shaggier with the...
I'm thicker.
I'm definitely thicker.
We grow.
Sure.
We grow.
Black is slimming. That's why I'm wearing black.
But
yeah,
we are
special
joined.
Guest for the third birthday of 50%.
That's right. We have a special anniversary guest joining us today.
Whoop, whoop,
Whoop, whoop, whoop, whoop, whoop, whoop, whoop. Is this the hype sound? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I was going to do that until you hit the thing, but...
Okay, whoop, whoop, whoop. They have their own podcast. You may have heard it, you may have not, but we're going to talk about it very shortly. It is Mike Honor, baby. Let's go.
Hey.
Welcome
Go.
to the show, Mike. Did I say your last name right? Is that correct?
You did.
Oh no, cool.
Yeah.
That's a great last name.
Yeah, it's a good pun.
Isn't it just?
It's a good pun, you know. Very honoured to have Mike Honor on the podcast.
Honoured to have you here.
Wow. I've never heard that before. That's the first time anyone has made that joke.
We need to get some better humour, Connor. That's what I'm hearing.
Ooh. This has been. I must have messaged Mike maybe. God, I don't want to say a year and a half ago, but it might have been.
Wow.
To say
it might have been.
I think it might have been a year and a half to say like, you know, come on, and I think just like stuff happened, and then like. And we've had multiple like messages like we want you to come on, like it's like we'll do it, and then stuff happened, and it's like okay this time, and then we'll do it, and
but
it
you
never
just suck
happened,
is the end of the day, Connor. That's the bottom line. You couldn't make it happen.
Here we are. It did happen.
That is true.
Like
I stand corrected.
I may have confused some dates, but we're here, and that's great.
Yeah.
And, I was very lucky to go on Mike's podcast. Who Gives a Fox?
Yes, which
an awesome name.
Let's get into because you have two podcasts.
Very great.
So, Mike, maybe let's start with Who Gives a Fox, the Doctor Who one, and pitch that to us.
Okay, so it was inevitable I was going to do a Doctor Who podcast because obviously, why wouldn't I do a Doctor Who podcast?
Literally.
And it started out by being a chance for me to talk to Doctor Who fans about what their favourite stories are, really. It's a positive place where you can bring your opinions about Doctor Who and the stories that you love. Kind of concentrating on New Who because I haven't seen as much classic as I've seen new. And we talk about what your favourite story is, your stud episode, as well as your least favourite, which is your dud. And we do that for each of the New Who Doctors. So that's where the podcast is starting, but shortly I am starting a different theme where we're going to be discussing. I got a guest for every story from the Doctor and Donna's time on the show.
Right.
And we're going to be doing the journey to the 14th Doctor. So I've got people lined up to talk about every story and even some stuff about the comics and the novels and the Big Finish. There's a plan.
Awesome.
And hopefully those are going to lead us into the anniversary in November. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Mike, the showrunner. I like it.
Oh, it was super fun.
That's me.
It was really fun. Like it is, it's just so nice to talk about like Doctor Who and stuff. And we were saying off air, like it was like we couldn't stop talking so much that we didn't even finish the show.
Yeah.
So and we had to go and film this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll
I don't know if we said. Did we say this on air that you just
I
were filming?
I said before. That's where we just were. So I got to talk to Mike just before, and it was so fun. I didn't think we could talk about Doctor Who for that long, but it turns out
You say that, and we are currently recording our 168th episode of this podcast.
But it sounds quite simple. It's like name your favorite and least favorite for like, you know, the New Who Doctors. But man, you can get into it.
Yeah,
and it's really fun, super fun. So yeah, and thank you so much for having me on. I do really appreciate it. It's
it was a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. But I tell you what, right? It's fascinating because everybody takes something so different from Doctor Who. We're all
Absolutely, yeah.
different, and we
Yeah.
all have different likes and dislikes. And the spectrum of answers that I've had already has been so interesting. Like, I've had somebody on already that hates Blink.
Wow. Wow. You don't hear that.
Ooh.
Woof.
No, you don't. And do you know what? Bring on the controversial opinions, I say. I want to talk to everybody.
I like it.
that.
It's a
I
good
like
attitude to have.
Yeah.
You, okay, so your other podcast as well. What's your fandom?
What's your fandom? So this was something that happened really kind of accidentally and organically. Myself and my friend Stuart, we chat all the time about everything else, not Doctor Who, because he's not a Doctor Who fan, but he's super into, I don't know, Marvel, Star Wars. Name a fandom, we have an opinion on it. And it was sort of a place where we can spend an hour a week or so chatting about that.
Awesome.
And it sort of happened by accident. We've got a good rapport. He has so much knowledge about everything that I don't have knowledge about. And so it's really good to come to the party with questions, and for him to have all this like information it's really interesting. Like, so far we've talked about things like Back to the Future, The Flash, Lord of the Rings. We've got so much more coming. It's unreal, because once you start talking about everything else, you realize how much there is to talk about. And we're currently recording kind of a mini series within the series, which we're calling The Rise and Fall of the MCU.
Oh,
Yeah,
very good topic. Hot topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's interesting, but everyone does seem to have an opinion on it. And the long-term plan is to obviously have guests on as well to talk about what their fandoms are and see how that goes. So that's fun too.
Awesome.
Can I ask
like it.
Mike, actually, I know you DM'd me the other day about it. You just spoke then about Back to the Future. Like 2 weeks ago, I rewatched the whole trilogy. And so do you have an answer to this? My question is, why does 17-year-old Marty McFly hang out with like 50-year-old Dr. Emmett Brown? Do you have an answer to this?
Okay. I have 2 theories.
Okay.
The first theory is something really, really standard. Like, Doc asked him to look after Copernicus whilst he's off experimenting with science and shit.
Okay.
And he's just a kid who kind of got involved that way and kind of started learning, okay? But I have a second theory, which is a bit timey-wimey, so bear with.
Uh-huh. I like that.
Now, time is not linear, as we know. It's
Love
not
it.
cause and effect, right? It all happens all over the place, right?
Wibbly
Now,
wobbly.
Yeah, I'm gonna... So I've kind of got a theory, and I've undone my own theory, but we'll get to that. My first thought is that Doc got in touch with Marty to be friends, to hang out, because Doc has already met Marty in 1955.
Right.
Because as far as Doc is concerned, it's already happened. So when he gets to the car park and the Libyans shoot him and he's wearing the vest,
Yes.
it's because it's already happened.
That's a good point.
So Doc and Marty have met already for the Doc, but we're watching it from Marty's
That's a good point.
perspective.
That's a great point. Yes.
I'm gonna...
Right.
Okay, you're with me so far, but this is where I've undone my theory. Slightly. No, I think I have undone it, because when Marty goes back... Oh my god, this is spinning me out. Right. When Marty goes back to 1955, right?
Yeah.
And he lands in that farm or that lodge, and
Yeah,
it's meant to be Twin Pine Mall,
Yeah.
And then he drives off and he knocks one over, and he directly influences the end where it becomes
It's
just
a single pine. Yes.
mall.
Yes.
So if that kind of contradicts what I just said, that means that the 1985 that Marty was at the beginning of the film is actually not the 1985 he goes back to at the end of the first film, because he's changed events.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's the case, then Doc can't have met Marty in 1955 because he's just gone back and met him.
As someone who has only seen these movies once and not even the third one.
Time?
I think I've seen the first one twice.
What?
Dude, they're so
Are
good.
you serious?
Yeah,
They're
well,
classic.
Get out!
my head
What
was
are
just
you
like,
doing?
then but I'm sure that made sense to you, Connor.
It does. Yeah.
Is this theory correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I and
Confirm it.
Oh God, they're so great. Those movies. Oh my God,
They're so good.
I loved rewatching them.
But did you,
So great.
Mike's insane theory, did that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I also think like when you try and break down any time traveling TV show or movie, you will find plot holes, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we'll have to kind of just go along with it.
You win some, you lose some,
It's a time travel thing, and it's like, who knows? You know?
Who knows?
I think of it like that ball of timey-wimey madness.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's easier to think about it. We're watching it linearly from Marty's point of view, but for Doc, it's kind of already happened. So he would, like, he knows he's invented time travel because Marty goes back, and then he invents time travel. That's the whole premise of the film. So in that respect, he knows Marty from the 85 because he's already met him in the 50s.
Yeah.
That does actually make sense.
My head
but apparently
is
but apparently the creators are refusing to comment on how they know each other.
Yeah.
It's something they don't want to talk about. They're just like, we're not going to
like
answer
that.
it. It's up to you. So
I guess it is.
Is it up to you, or do they not know?
They
just
don't
Robin
know.
Zemeckis.
They don't know.
One last thing on that. One of Biff's many iconic lines. I love Biff Tannen, by the way. One of the best characters in a movie. So great. When he says, one of my favorites is, what are you looking at, butthead? Obviously, a fantastic line.
Mm-hmm.
So great. And like, I used to watch these movies with my mum, and I thought she remembered it. I went up to her and I was like, what are you looking at, butthead? And she was like, what? And I was like,
Oh no,
Biff,
my son's broken.
Back to the Future. And she's like, oh yeah. It looked to me like I was a weirdo. They're such great films. Absolutely loved rewatching them.
I recently watched the Apple TV Michael J. Fox documentary called Still. And I was watching that and I was like, oof, I've got to rewatch Back to the Future. And I've got the third one on Blu-ray and I've never watched it. So I need to do all three. So
yeah, do a fat rewatch. That was a good Back to the Future.
That's what the 50%'s all about, baby. We are the 50% Doctor Who podcast. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 50Doctor. Coming up on today's show, we're going to bombard Mike with some more questions in a very quick fire fashion.
Gotta go fast.
We're going to talk about the latest from everyone's favorite hot topic, Doomsday. We're going to be reviewing It Takes You Away, and following up from last week, we're going to do a few more listeners' questions.
And Mel is back.
Oh, I forgot about that. Sorry, yeah, that news broke after I made the run sheet, so it's not on there. But we're going to talk about Mel very soon as well. So
Mel was back.
Stay tuned to that. Make sure you subscribe so we can get us to 1,000 subscribers, and make sure you check out all of Mike's podcasting and stuff. We'll have it all linked below, and so you can all follow up on that. It's amazing stuff. And yeah, we have a Ko-fi, so if you want to drop us $1 to buy a coffee or most likely a beer, you can feel free to do that. Not that you would ever want to. Let's
very selling-aid. You're selling it really well.
Roll into the show.
50 podcast.
3 years old today.
3 years. Yep. This sting. We should do a 3-year anniversary for the theme in 5 weeks.
Yeah, because it wasn't actually the first. That comment was actually...
The theme song only came into play 5 episodes into the podcast.
You want me to re-record it live?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah,
I can do that.
I should whip out a mixing desk and try and do it all live.
Yeah, I'm an artist at heart. You know, I need to prepare myself to get back into the mode of a rapper. So
Mike, have
Hello.
you? I know you have listened to a few of our podcasts before. Have you ever heard of a little segment called Speedy Who?
It's ringing a bell.
It's ringing a bell. Well, maybe this might ring some more bells for you. Brace yourselves. This usually comes out pretty fucking loud.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Gotta go faster.
it's Speedy Who.
It's Speedy Who, baby. This is the segment where we're going to bombard Mike with some questions, so our audience can get a bit of an idea of who Mike is. Mostly Doctor Who related. There's some curveball ones about general things in there. And what we want you to do here, Mike, is basically the first thing that comes to mind. You're probably going to regret half these decisions once you've thought for them a little bit, but just the first thing that comes to mind, spitfire those questions, those answers out there, and we'll circle back to the ones that we that maybe we got a little bit curious about, right?
All right.
Shall we do it?
Let's do it.
All right. Take a breath. It's gonna be quick. Favorite Doctor?
12.
Favorite season?
11.
Tomato sauce, fridge or pantry?
Fridge.
Cool. Good answer. Last episode of Doctor Who you watched?
It takes you away.
That tends to be the answer when
I
we're
love that,
recording
I love
an episode. What's a one-word hope for RTD2?
Change.
Favorite TARDIS team or duo?
12 and Bill.
Okay.
Love that.
Favorite non-Doctor Who TV show or movie?
Fuck. No.
We've got him. We've got him, guys.
Serenity film.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, cool. What's your biggest fear?
Alzheimer's.
Oh, okay. That's a really sad
That's
answer.
a bit deep.
That's
Okay,
a really sad answer.
Okay.
What's an episode of Doctor Who that you hate but others love?
Oh shit. I hate. Hate is such a strong word.
Okay, one that you just dislike more than the general public may. Deep thoughts. Quick
The
thoughts.
11th Hour.
Oh no! Oh, okay. We're gonna have some harsh words after this last
dear.
question.
Oh,
You
dear.
have 1 hour to live, Mike. What is the last episode of Doctor Who you'll watch? Assuming that in that last hour you will watch a Doctor Who episode.
The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
We've got some. We got some hard words to have here. Okay.
I've never heard.
You wanted controversy, right?
Yeah.
That's what you wanted.
And it's
Yeah,
here.
okay, good.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that season 11 is their favorite season.
Yeah. Let's start
Can
there.
you please?
I
Please.
like
would love
that.
to hear.
That's a good answer.
Season 11? Oh my god.
Talk to us about that.
Okay, so it is so different to everything else that we had in New Who.
That is true.
Agree.
And it was refreshing. And I think at the time, it's sort of, especially online, it wasn't really cool to be loving 13 and Chibnall in that era. And if you did, you were going slightly against the grain, which I kind of like. But it's sort of, I think of season 11 as quite a comforting season. I think of it as, it's sort of Comfort Who. If I wanted to just kind of wrap myself up and enjoy myself without too much stress, because there were some episodes that were stressful, and this would be a nice moment. And I keep on doing this because this is how I describe the Chibnall era. It's its own little capsule of Doctor Who, and it exists by itself with its own, its own cast that go through the whole thing, its own composer that's just done that era.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
got a
true.
very different look, and I think it exists kind of separately to the rest of the canon in a way.
Yeah, I
That's
kind of agree. Yeah.
positive.
That's all,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all good stuff, yeah.
I think in time, this era, I hope, will be rewatched and thought of quite well, because everyone is, I say everyone, a lot of people are quite quick to hate on this era, and they tend to dislike a lot about it. And please don't get me wrong, every era is not without its flaws. It's impossible. But these 10 episodes, I just enjoy them.
That's fair, and I've been
just
loving
enjoy
it
them.
as we've gone
We've
through
been
this
having
season.
a bit of a, more me, like a renaissance, whatever the name is. Like,
Yeah.
I've had a change.
Yeah, you enjoy it far more than you did. Even then, because I always thought it was good. I never really loved it, but on this rewatch, I am definitely loving certain episodes,
Yeah, same.
which is
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
great.
I really disliked
I
it,
think-
but now I really like it, so...
there's lots of layers to it, but you have to be willing to re-watch it to see those layers. And I think because if your immediate reaction is, no, this isn't my Doctor, this isn't my era, I don't feel the need to watch that again, then you're the one that's missing out.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think like Series 11 definitely is like a rewatch season, because when you're watching it as it's airing and you're watching those big twists and two-parters and an ongoing story and you don't get that, it is a bit like, meh, because that's the stuff that does get us hyped a lot of the time as viewers.
Almost,
yeah, when you can speculate over stuff, but they never really gave you stuff to speculate over. But then knowing that and going back to them and just watching them in hindsight, right, is I think so much more enjoyable just seeing this one episode, each one of these episodes just be their own thing. It's been great.
No, actually. I agree. Yeah. So do you not like 11th Hour then? Is that the... That's... I gotta know.
I love that.
I gotta know.
What are you doing?
So no, it's not that I don't love it. I don't hate it, because hate is a very strong word.
Yeah.
The 11th Doctor, for me, I got into the 11th Doctor towards the end of his run. I don't think I'm a massive Amy and Rory fan. Like, they're fine. I don't dislike them or anything. They're just not my go-to team. I can happily start watching the 11th Doctor from The Snowmen and watch from there onwards,
yes,
because I think that Clara kind of brings a new energy to the show that I think it needed at that point. Series 5 I think is a great season. Season 6 I don't rate highly. There's some standout episodes, but I don't rate it. I don't like the way it was split up between the years.
Yeah,
I don't like the I don't like Let's Kill Hitler. What the fuck? And
oh god.
And I just think it ruined it. It didn't. I wanted consistency at that point, and we didn't get it. The Wedding of River Song is terrible. I couldn't tell you what it's about.
It's about nothing.
And then
that's
it's
it.
about nothing. It's mental. And then 7A is not a strong part of the series. These one-off cinematic episodes, for me, don't really stand out. I could just skip them. I could skip the whole... But then when he gets Clara and you lead into the 50th, I get excited again. And that's what that gave me. So the 11th Hour, I watched it again recently, actually, because I'm doing a rewatch, and I did really enjoy myself watching it a lot more than I thought I would. There's some great stuff in there. I love the look of it. And I think, actually, Matt Smith's performance, he's the 11th Doctor straight away. People say he grew into that role. I think it's all there, and I think he's a great Doctor.
Yeah.
But I think they underused some fantastic supporting actors and characters. Olivia Colman is there.
What is she doing?
Yeah.
What's she doing in like a 1 minute role?
What was the point in that?
Honestly.
Yeah, silly.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And it was just a bit kind of, it's finding its feet. There are more successful first episodes for Doctors in their introduction, I think. So that was a impulse decision. No. You made me choose something on the spot. I had to choose it.
You were like redeeming yourself for a second there, Mike. You were like, 7B, good stuff. 6, not great. Those are all decisions that I love and very much agree with. And then you went back and you said that it's not the strongest first episode for a Doctor, and I'm just immediately angry again.
I don't like the big eye thing.
The big eye.
I don't like it.
What do you have against eyes, man?
Thing.
I
have nothing against eyes. It's just.
We've all got them,
It's neither here nor there. Yeah, we've all. Well, if we're lucky, we've got them.
Yeah, we're lucky we got them.
Yeah. And my last one I want to sort of follow up on is the frown that you gave me when you said tomato sauce fridge shop pantry was as a frown of a genuine just being baffled at the other option.
Of course, it goes in the fridge. Why would you keep it anywhere else?
Why do you? Okay, here's one. In the UK, Wales, Scotland, England, whatever. Why do you don't need fridges? You just...
Well, houses are naturally cold.
It's cold.
It's not that cold.
It's cold. I've been and it's cold.
That cold.
It was kind of cold.
It's not refrigeration cold.
Surely,
you need to keep milk in the fridge.
Maybe in summer, but surely it comes to winter and you've got frost on the street. It's like, I'm just going to put my cheese on the front lawn.
When you went to Wales, was it winter?
I actually don't know.
I went in winter.
I think so. I remember it being very wet.
It was bloody freezing.
Yeah.
So cold.
Yeah.
So cold. But I had this from Vinny the other day. Vinny, good friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I was like Snapchat and it was like 8 degrees and she was like, Connor, it's 8 degrees in England right now and we're loving it. And I'm like, but we're warm blood.
As someone who
we're peace and love. The Brits are cold blood, you know. They're used to the cold.
For the last 12 weeks, I've been doing a podcast with Vinny every week, Ted Lasso post match. If there's any Ted Lasso fans out there, no, I've never mentioned it. And yeah, every week she'd rock up usually with like just shorts on. And I was like, Vinny, what are you doing?
I'm rocking shorts.
It's the UK.
I'm rocking shorts in the old... I
don't think I've ever taken a pair of shorts on a holiday to the UK. Granted, every single one of my UK trips has, I think, almost always been in winter. At least in the last, 7 years. I've been back 3 times, and it's always been in winter. So...
Well, Mike, we went to Cardiff for the Doctor Who experience. Did you ever get to go to it?
I did.
Hey! Let's go.
Yeah, I went when it was Peter Capaldi's first season
right.
8 time. And yeah, it was really cool. I enjoyed it. It was just a random middle of the week last minute thing. Me and a couple of friends decided to go and it was really cool. It's so sad that it isn't there anymore. It's just so sad.
Yeah.
All those costumes and monsters and things, they were there for you to go up and touch and see, and it was just
as Connor would
really cool.
stroke. Connor likes to stroke the costumes.
I went 2 weeks before it closed, and it was fairly empty. It was actually, like you said, it was very sad. I was very upset about it. But my favourite Doctor Who costume is Peter Capaldi's red velvet suit, and I saw it, and there's people walking around, making sure no one touched
the security guards with little torches.
She walked around the corner, and I was like,
"Gonna give it a stroke."
Touched it. And I'll never forget it. I could still, when I close my eyes, I can still kind of remember how it felt. And it felt glorious, man. I was like, Peter's worn this, Sounds a bit weird, but it's actually one of the most, memorable things I've ever done in my life. I'm actually quite proud that I did it. Stroking Peter's red velvet suit.
That's...
lapel.
Yeah.
It was glorious. It looked such an amazing... It was such a great experience.
Glorious would be a better answer if it was 13's coat.
I feel
glorious. Okay, all right. Let's move on to a couple of things.
We're funny boys,
Firstly, Mel's back. Oh my god! Wow,
Mel's back.
Mm-hmm. The screaming ginger is back, and as a fellow screaming ginger who often screams into this microphone, I'm happy to see Mel back. That ginger rep, we love it. We've got Donna in there, and now we've got Mel in there. Double dose of ginger.
So it is for the 60th.
They didn't say. They were actually very sneaky with their press release and didn't touch on it at all.
Right.
But one thing I will say, and mild set pick thing here. It's not a spoiler, but everyone's been warned.
It's butter chicken mild,
The photo that Mel was in the press release had a sort of a military industrial kind of background with a big H, like a helipad H. And one thing that did come out on Google Earth whilst they were filming the 60th,
I love how someone leaks.
I know.
Google
someone
Earth.
went over to Bad Wolf Bay and found a giant helipad in the car park that they'd filmed on.
It was the unit thing, wasn't it?
It was a unit helipad, I think. So I think we're gonna see. I think it's gonna be from the 60th. But then I was also like, if they're announcing it now, then usually they do that quite right before they start doing some location filming with the actors. So maybe Mel's in the 60th and Series 14, and we're about to see her.
They could use that set for
the unit spin-off.
Well, yeah,
that's a big set though.
But also, they can. Bad Wolf Productions is massive, man. They got a massive backyard. They could.
I actually went on their website and looked at the sound stages, and they are very big. Mike, are you a Mel fan? How are you feeling that Mel is back?
So I've never seen Mel in Doctor Who because I've not seen that particular era. I've only seen her in The Power of the Doctor. And
what did you think of her one line?
But it's so to be honest, I thought she gave quite a lot in that one line. She came across as a genuine person who was asking whatever the question was. I don't even know what the line was, but she sounded genuine and it sounded realistic, which from what I gather, is not what Mel is widely known for. She just sort of
Known for screaming
screams for 2 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
I have friends who are really excited about her coming back.
Cool.
Like, super excited. So that's got to be a good thing. I mean, Bonnie Langford is very well thought of as an actress, so it's fab. It's great. We need to have a link to the classic series, which, other than Sarah Jane and Davros, Russell T Davies didn't do much of that. He really did focus on making it new and his own thing. So I think it's quite nice to have more ties to the old.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool. I think something with Mel is she's... she definitely isn't the strongest companion in her run, but I think she's got a lot of potential there, and I think that's what I'm most interested by. Like, you know, if they brought Rose back, we know Rose inside and out. Bringing someone back like Mel, who we kind of didn't really get to know, because she was only in, I think, like 5-6 serials, I think. So the fact that we now will probably get to know her a little bit more under Russell's incredible writing, and by the sounds of it, she's in it quite a bit. He specified it's not just a cameo; it's a starring, featuring role. So I'm really excited to see some more depth come to her character, and it's just a nice little nugget that she was in the Centenary, and now they're going to expand on that in this. I think that's like a really, obviously not intentional, but I think a really cool little lead-in.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. I obviously saw her in the Time Lord Victorious. The Trial of the Time Lords. I apologise.
Kind of number one fan of Time Lord Victorious.
God, I am tired. Sorry. I saw her in the Trial of the Time Lords.
Yes.
Which I reviewed with Josh Snares. Mm-hmm. And that was an interesting time. You know, it was a
lot of screaming.
A lot of screaming. You know. Mm-hmm. But she seems really cool, and I know she's in Sylvester's first story, and
his whole first season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
actually.
So
yeah, I don't really know much about her, but I think it's really cool she's back. And,
anyone that wants to get to know Mel a little bit more when we finish, so we're about 3 months out from finishing our rewatch, which will be huge for us. Incredible.
Seriously, 3 months? Is that it?
Yeah. Well, we've got one season to do, pretty much. And then
it took us 3 years.
God damn. Anyways, once we do that in the lead up to the 60th, this isn't going to happen once we finish the 60th. We will do some of it, but in the lead up to the 60th, we're going to do solely classic reviews, maybe a couple of topic videos, but we're going to do a classic review for each Doctor. And for Sylvester's story, I think we should do Dragonfire, because that will be awesome to see how Mel departed the show.
Makes
and so
sense,
that way, when she rocks up in the show and reunites with the Doctor, we can sort of maybe get some references. Even Russell said himself, like, what is she doing back on Earth? Like, he's definitely going to address the way that she ended off. So I think it would be really cool to do that.
And also to clarify, I did get memed on Twitter today.
Kind of got bullied on Twitter.
I got bullied on Twitter because
I love it.
I basically said, like, Glitz, who is the character who is in the Trial of the Time Lords.
Sibron Glitz, I think?
Yeah, I basically posted a picture and said, like, if Glitz isn't in it, I'm turning off the 60th as a joke. And then good friend Josh Snares was like, babes, they're dead. He can't come back.
I think he died last year.
Like, the actor died. And then I got ratioed hard. Mm-hmm. My tweet got like 50 likes and theirs got like 100 and something.
1 billion.
I got ratioed hard, and everyone's saying to me, "Who are you? What are you doing? You're not a fan. How do you not know?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know he passed away." Mm-hmm. But anyway, no Glitz.
No Glitz.
Which is a shame, because he's actually quite good in the Trial of the Time Lords.
Yeah.
He pops up like in every serial. Well, I think apart from one, but
yeah, he's in a bit of it. Yeah, and
character.
He's in Mel's last story, so you'll get to see him again.
Is he actually?
Yeah, that's why Russell was like, "What happened to him? What happened to Glitz?"
Okay, all right. I'm very keen for that. Love Glitz.
Yeah. So there's going to be lots of little
rest in peace. Obviously,
classic
that's very
references.
sad. I didn't mean to be mean on Twitter. The one.
Let's talk very briefly on Doomsday, which has officially launched. Doomsday Hour 1 is the first part. If you can't guess, it is the first hour of Doomsday's story. We'll talk about that in 2 seconds. Mike, how are you feeling about Doomsday? Mood.
I don't know. I don't think the Time Lord Victorious was the most successful thing that they've ever done. And I did try. I read 2 of the books. I read the comics. I have no memory of any of it after having read it. It didn't have any impact. So we'll see. I wasn't hugely fussed on the trailer that they released a few months ago on Instagram. I was just a bit like, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
But since then, the artwork has stepped up a bit and it does look a bit better. I might give one of the books a go to see, because I do like reading the Doctor Who books. But I'm not like racing to see it.
Not racing to see what happens to Doom.
Will Doom live? Who
No,
knows?
no, not really.
Imagine.
I don't
if she
really
doesn't.
care.
Yeah, maybe at the 24th hour she
She just dies. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. So they released the first chapter for free.
Hour 1 is basically a short story that is on the BBC or on the Doctor Who website.
And I texted Aid and I said, I'll read it for the show this week and I'll review it. And then literally when I got here, I read the run sheet and went, oh shit, I forgot to read it. So I haven't read it. But did you read it?
I skim read a bit of the start and
it's not very
throughout
long,
it.
is it?
It's not very long, but it did not demand my attention span at all. And
Okay.
I was reading it and I was like, this, I didn't like it. And like I said, skim read it. Maybe it was a different experience if I sat there with a tea. I want to put that out there, you know. Probably didn't give it the full reading experience it deserved. But I, like, from the first, 2 lines in it, I was like, I didn't enjoy the way that it was, written and the way that Doom was, this kind of like a River Song-esque, but not good.
Okay.
Sorry, that was kind of blunt.
Okay.
But I
kind of wish I read it now.
it seemed fine.
I'll read it for next week, folks. I'll be sure to read it.
To be continued.
But that'll be it, though. I'm not going to read anymore.
My
Sorry.
biggest gripe is where is the timeline? Why don't we have a official Doctor Who timeline posted where it's hours 1 will be in this, hours 2 to 3 will be in this Big Finish set.
That'd be helpful.
We
yeah.
don't have that, and I think I was looking. Someone posted a chart the other day. Once again, made by a fan, not an officially released thing. And it was here's the releases that we know so far. And it was chapter 1. And then it was hours 4 to 7 are this. And then hours 16 to 19 are this. And I was why do we have gaps where we don't know what's being released? And what, for
so
me,
hard to follow.
why don't you just put out a thing that's, you don't have to release it all at once, but just say, hours 1 to 6 are going to be in these mediums. And that's where you get started. For me, I just think the whole thing's been handled messily, and that's why I'm going into all this stuff with such a negative attitude, and I hate doing that.
Yeah.
But it's put me in a bad mood.
I wonder if they always plan to put out the first chapter for free.
Yeah, they said that in the press release. They said the first and last hour will be available on the BBC
the
website.
last hour?
Yeah, so we can know how it ends.
I'll read how it ends.
Thank God.
Let's see if Doom actually does meet her demise.
Her doom.
Yeah, her actual doom.
Any last thoughts on Doom, Mike, as you suckle on your lovely tea?
No.
That's the right answer.
I think you're speaking for everyone
That's
there.
what sucks. It's this is 60th year. They're giving us this, and it's no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to read it.
Not me. Don't want to listen to it.
Is this really what you're giving us? Do I have to beg?
I like
what's
the
going on here?
ambition,
Yeah,
I like the ambition. And I like the
totally.
idea of all this
Yeah.
different media and stuff. I just, maybe give us a character we already love, because then we might be more interested to give our money for it.
Yeah. I'm all for new characters and stuff, but I just think putting this much three or four Big Finish sets or whatever, and 2 or 3 books and some game content and stuff, it's that's a lot to demand from a character we've never met before. And
Exactly.
I'm just,
Well, that's the thing, Mike.
especially it's not, if it was a spin-off main show, then I'd be more inclined to
Yeah.
watch it, but I don't know
I'd
that I
watch
want to
it,
invest
yeah.
hours in reading a book in a character that I don't know, and I know is probably not going to ever rock up in the TV show.
Yeah, well, like you were saying, about the Talent Victorious thing, I understand, why you were curious to, want to divulge into that story, because that's an interesting story for me.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
I remember thinking,
a great
this
catalyst.
is actually a cool story, but
Yeah.
I found it a little bit convoluted, but I was like, it's actually a cool idea. But you're right, that's like, that's a established storyline, whilst this is just like, here's this, here you go.
Fetch.
Is that any good? We don't, anyway, whatever. If you want to listen to it, you can. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Will Doom rock up in Doctor Who?
No, I doubt it. I doubt
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I doubt it. It'd be pretty funny if she did.
Yeah, but you're all right. The new artwork, I think, has stepped up. I think that stuff does look good. So that's
Actually, yeah.
promising.
No, it does.
And we love the dubstep theme song. That's it. That's our rendition. Okay, let's get on to the reason that we are here.
That is why we're here.
That is why. Yep. Thanks. There's an episode of Doctor Who, and that's what we like to do. We talk about it, and I'm terrible at segueing, so let's just.
Well, segue as I go to the toilet, and you guys.
You're gonna go to the toilet. Okay. Well, you're gonna miss the episode synopsis. Jesus Christ! This is the stuff that I put up with regularly with Connor. It's literally okay. Last week when we recorded, this guy went to the toilet. I think 3 times during the recording. I literally the look he gave me as he left the room just then.
So unprofessional.
I know. Man needs a wee. Okay. It Takes You Away. It is the 9th and penultimate episode of the 11th series of the British science fiction television program Doctor Who. It was written by Ed Heim and directed by Jamie Childs and was first broadcast on BBC One on the 2nd of December 2018. Set in Norway in 2018, the episode involves the alien time traveler, the 13th Doctor, and her companions Graham, Ryan, and Yaz investigating the disappearance of a widower called Eric, and with the assistance of his daughter Han. I think I said that right. Han? Is that right? Han?
Hannah, I think it is.
Hannah? Maybe it's Hannah. Yeah, there's no H at the end. It's just
Hannah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just spelled. I guess it's that Norwegian vibes. It's Hanne. So
I think it's Hannah.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds
Apologies.
like a more real name than Han. Although Han. Okay, so as we always do in 2018, Mike,
Daddy's back.
What did you think of It Takes You Away?
I didn't think much of it in 2018.
Oh no.
I sort of thought that was okay. It was fine. There was a frog.
There was a frog, to be fair.
And that's what I thought in 2018.
Yeah, good in-depth thoughts. 2018, Mike, thought very deeply about It Takes You Away. Connor, 2018, how much did you hate this episode?
Such a fun story about this.
Really?
I'm in Gold Coast, okay?
Wow. So fun.
That is where Crispy Pro lives. Not trying to dox him.
Not
what's
exactly
it, Queensland?
Gold Coast.
Queensland?
Queensland, yeah.
Queensland.
Queen.
I was there on holiday. It was December, I think, or November. We had just gone to a theme park called Movie World.
That's a theme park.
And I'd heard... I read this like advanced review, and it's like, you do not want to miss this episode.
Advanced review was like, frog.
I'll never forget where I was when I watched this episode, and I was like, something huge is going to happen. Like Peter Capaldi is going to walk in. something huge is going to happen.
Peter Capaldi's going to be a frog.
The frog voice by Peter Capaldi.
Yeah,
and we got to the theme park, and I was so keen to watch it that on the way home in the Uber, it was like an hour drive. I was like, yeah, I'll watch it. So I sat in the Uber watching it in the front seat, and my driver's like, what are you watching? I'm like,
Frogs.
Doctor Who. It's George Doctor Who. He's like, nah. I'm like, it's good. I had my AirPods. I was like, it's good. It's all right. He's like, what's the frog? And I didn't say that. It's like, is that a frog?
Is that a fucking frog?
But I watched it. I was like, what's the hubbub? What was that? I was
What's the
like,
ribbit?
What's the ribbit? Yeah,
Ribbit?
what's the ribbit? I'm like, what's the... Yeah, I was like, it's fine. It's not anything great. That's why I thought, like Mike just said, that's what I thought then.
I remember enjoying it at the time, not being like it's the bee's knees, but I do remember it being a highlight of the season for me. I don't want to say I loved it, but I definitely I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when I first watched it. But now I'm very curious as to how you'll sit with this now.
God, Mike, what do you think?
I keep wanting to call you Mike Yates, the unit soldier from classic Doctor Who.
Lucky.
Mike Yates.
I mean, I'll answer to anything. It's fine. You can call me Mike Yates if you want. Okay, now I really bloody enjoy it.
Very nice. Very
I
nice.
really like it. I have. Can I quote you some things?
Yeah,
Sure, of course.
I have 2 quotes, okay, about this episode, right? The first one's from the Radio Times. It says, on balance, It Takes You Away is a disappointing excursion and mostly plays like some generic dreck you'd stumble upon while channel hopping through the higher numbers in your TV guide. Wow. Tolerate for 30 seconds before moving hastily on. And extraordinarily, it's going out under the banner of Doctor Who on primetime BBC One. Okay?
Damn.
That was the Radio Times. And at the same time, The Independent said,
Trent Cream.
metaphysics and Doctor Who don't always mesh, but It Takes You Away is thoughtful and big-hearted, blending scares and surrealism with self-confidence. Next week's finale may yet surpass it, but as of now, this stands unchallenged as the season's finest episode.
Divisive.
Very. Very divisive. I think this episode gets better and better and better the more you watch it. What do you think?
I fucking love it.
I didn't know The Independent was actually
Hey.
real. Is that actually a thing?
You thought that The Independent was just a Ted Lasso thing?
Yeah,
Oh my
okay.
god, Connor.
That's what I took away from that. Sorry. No.
No, yeah, I fucking love it. I think I loved it even more this time watching it, and yeah, now it's in a highlight for it's definitely in the top 3 for Series 11 for me in a season that I would struggle to put together a top 3 because I think there's a lot of episodes that are up there. I think there's quite a few ones that are not up there, but the highs in this season for me, like, they're good. They're really good. And I think this season has been so fucking consistent. We were saying how Series 10 was consistent, but it was like consistently average. I think this season has been like consistently really enjoyable for me. And this episode, it takes me away. It takes my breath away.
Oh, there it is.
I think it's great. I love the frog. Man,
Brilliant.
fucking,
Aiden, what up?
we've got, okay, last week we were begging for like some reference. Someone's nan just died. And we were like, where's the character? Why is Ryan not going up and being like,
Yeah, this
oh,
episode feels
you know, I've been there. Like, why are we not having these character beats? And that is something that has been missing, you know, that these characters are dealing with the death of someone and things like that. But this episode, we actually got to see really good character work from almost everyone. Maybe Yaz is a little bit in the background there, but, you know, that's Series 11. But, like, Graham, I thought, gets some really great character work.
Yeah.
I thought this was the ultimate test for his character after everything he's been through the last 9 episodes. Ryan having to look after a kid that he is so like, my dad left me,
I love
so
that.
your dad left you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's so good writing.
That was so great.
Yeah.
I think Jodie's great. I think Jodie, you know, the Doctor knows what it's like to be alone and almost be in her own universe. And then to have her versing a universe that is lonely and just wants a friend, but the Doctor just can't give her that. I thought that was beautiful. Connor, sorry, what did you think? I really dove into it
That's
there.
okay. So, like I said, 2018, when I read that review, it was like, I remember reading a quote. It was like, there has never been an episode of Doctor Who like It Takes You Away.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I totally agree with that.
So, is that a good thing?
Yeah, I love it.
You love it?
Oh yeah.
I never thought you'd love it, man. I did not think you'd love it.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
There really isn't an episode like this. Like there isn't, and I don't think there will be. And for that, I really just love it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's so unique. And I'm like, why? Like, because I love unique Doctor Who, and I'm like, in 2018, like, why didn't I like it as much as I do now? 'Cause I'm like, I love that unique stuff. Like, and it is just, it's its own thing, and it's so isolated, and it has this like kind of like really creepy vibe to it almost. Like it's and it's just and it's weird, and I love weird.
It's like
I
weird
love
and different.
weird. I think I've changed a bit because like now I like my favorite movie is The Lighthouse. It's fucking weird,
Dude, that's fucking weird. It is weird.
and I'm like, I must have just like changed a little bit. Because I'm like,
Mermaid vagina is the only way I can describe that
is
movie.
a mermaid
Yeah.
vagina, yeah. And I'm like, now I'm like, this is me now.
This,
Mermaid vagina.
like
I'm
mermaid vagina.
This is my life, and I yeah, you're right. It's not like my favorite, like it's not like my go-to probably like favorite episode, but like I think it's so unique and it's so well placed in the season. Being episode 9, it's just
Okay, I have a
blast.
contrary opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead,
Contrary
please.
Okay, so you're going on next week to watch the Battle of Ranskorav Kolos.
Correct.
Right?
We sure are.
Which gets a really, really bad slating from most viewers. I actually don't mind it. I'm going to put that out there. I think it's actually not as bad as everybody else thinks it is.
Okay.
But I think, Connor, what you were saying just then about why didn't you like it in 2018, I think there is an expectation that we all have when we're going towards a series finale that's been built into us since 2005. And that expectation is there all the time. And we're expecting that story to build, and it's not what we got in season 11. There is no build up to an end. It just ends. And I think that's why Ranskorav Kolos gets quite a bad... People don't like it. People just don't like it.
Yeah, it's got a
quite
bad rep.
universally unliked episode. But, controversial, reordering of episodes time.
love it.
The sequence in Ranskorav Kolos where you've got the Ux floating their magical rocky things, and Tim Shaw zooms down from what happened in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, right? You put that as a post-credit sequence at the end of the Ghost Monument. That's your first thing. So you've got a tie. A story is going to continue to later on, right? Ranskorav Kolos becomes episode 7, 6, 7, maybe 8. So you get that emotional run through for some of those characters for that moment. And it takes you away, becomes the season finale.
I think it should have been the finale. I agree.
This has got all the characterization finale moments that you need. These characters started off that journey and it ends in this episode. And I wish they'd been brave enough to do that.
I know. It will be brave. It'll be some big dick energy doing that. Like, because it's not big,
Absolutely.
it's not bombastic. Yeah.
Nope. And I think that restructuring of things would make a huge difference into how people see Series 11.
Can I pitch a slightly simpler version of that in simply swapping 9 and 10? And Battle of Ranskorav Kolos, because my problem with, I mean, I've not watched this in years because Connor and I can't watch the show ahead of where we're doing the reviews.
Yeah, it's next.
So, but from memory, it's like the only really big character moment in that is the whole Graham wanting to kill Tim Shaw, I think.
The Grace,
And for me, it's like, what if that was 9 and he's like going like, I need to kill him, and then 10 is It Takes You Away, which is then his redemption. And he
then sees her as well.
Yeah, he sees her.
All that emotion.
He gets the opportunity to be with her, but he's learnt from everything. He's learnt from trying to kill Tim Shaw and stuff that he just like he needs to move on from this. And living in this false universe would be the wrong decision. I think that's the problem. I think 9 just like they just need to be braver and just make 9 10.
Man, this episode like it's so its own thing. And I love that about it.
Bro, it don't give a fuck. It does its own thing.
I get such a unique bit of nostalgia from watching it.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like the whole concept as well with the whole, it's like Hannah's dad is like with her mum and Grace is there as well. And I think this whole idea of like grief and loss is it's a thing that affects all of us. And it's like, I think, and particularly at the end where it's like, you need to let go. And I love how Graham finally finds out that it's not the real Grace when he mentions that Ryan is in danger. And it's like...
Yeah, and she just wants him to stay.
Exactly. It's like the Grace that I know would have just been like put him first.
Yeah.
And same thing with like Hannah's dad. It's like the second the doctor's like, and I love how the doctor does that. It's like she shows it's like she's not real because it's like, hey, you can pick either him, your husband, or me, but pick me because I have all this experience. We can be. It's all about being friends. It's like I will be the best friend because it's like I have all this knowledge. And she instantly turns to the doctor. It's like, if that's his wife, and that's when he clocks on. I love that. It's like, yeah, it's about grief. It's about moving on, being stuck in the past. Even the doctor's like, I love that line from the doctor. It's like, I know you still blame yourself for Grace's death, but it's not your fault. There's so many great lines in it.
I love, and I think that's a great little plot point. I would have loved maybe a scene in another episode where maybe we saw Graham... We saw that from Graham. I don't know that we necessarily saw that much, but it's great in this episode.
It's such an interpretation, I guess, reading into characters and you know,
I also I think the location filming just is so beautiful.
Dude, it's so good.
Like,
it's so unique.
I know that was probably just like a forest in
Wales, guys.
But yeah, I know.
It's Wales. What can I say? It's stunning.
It's fucking Wales.
Let's go.
But it looks like Norway. It looks like fucking Norway. Okay,
that's awesome.
And that worked for me. I thought it. I love it. I really love like that. Is it like a North European thing? Norway's like quite north in Europe, right?
Yeah.
That vibe. Yeah.
Is it near Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
I love that whole fucking thing. I love like Dutch movies. I love like they all like Dutch people sound very similar to these Norwegian characters. Apparently, I'm just going off of this episode, and so I was hearing those accents, and I was like, music to my ears.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
love Dutch movies. And Norwegian movies. So Everyone should watch the worst person in the world. It's a fucking fantastic movie that came out last year or the year before. Fantastic Norwegian movie. I think it's Norwegian.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I love the this episode is so clever in so many ways, but like I love that it's almost an episode of 3 parts, and you get this first part which is really this like dark Nordic noir horror where there's a beast in the woods, and they've had to you know put boards across the cabin to stop anything getting in, or so we think. And it's the lighting is stunning. There's these shafts of light between all the boards coming into the scenes and lighting like the eyes on certain characters. Oh, Jamie Childs does such a good job there. And the tones, and it's all very muted and kind of dark and brown. There's not a lot of contrast going on. It's all very the same palette, and I love that. That's what noir does so well. And then you've got that first third, which is that, and it's really frightening. You know, when Hannah is under the table and she's like, "It takes you away, it takes you away, it takes you away," and you're just like, "What the fuck takes you
That's
away?" And you're hearing this roar, and there's bear traps. It's horror, and I love that. And I probably would have loved the whole episode to carry on with that. But I like how brave it was in deciding then to go into an anti-zone with puppets and flesh moths and ribbons of like the 7 stomachs.
Gothic sci-fi, like Philip Hinchcliffe kind of thing, yeah.
I loved that. And the flesh moths are really a frightening idea. I don't like them. I don't like ribbons either, but I really don't like flesh moths.
Yeah,
and they come out of his eye socket, don't they? They're in there chewing his flesh. They come out, that's buzzing. That's so scary, but in a good way. I love how sort of the colours suddenly shift, this black and this bright red of the balloon, and it's just so different. I like the explanation of the anti-zone as well, this idea of a buffer little zone to protect our universe from something else. And then we go into this third place, which is a lot like the first place, but brighter. It's a very different colour palette, all different colours showing, different lighting. Did you notice as well, they flipped the screen?
Yeah.
So you were seeing everyone's like fringes the wrong way and stuff, and all the writing was the wrong way, and I was like, yes, I'm here for that. Love that. And I think, so that's a really, really interesting format for an episode, and that makes this stand out completely. And that's even before we get into the character stuff with the themes of like you said, grief and the parental abandonment. And I think Eric as a dad, there's a scene missing here when they come back where it would have been nice for Ryan or Yaz, actually Ryan because his dad's abandoned him, but Yaz because she's a police officer as well. They could have stepped in and been like, look, what you did is unforgivable. You are incredibly lucky that your daughter recognizes that you're going through hell, and that she's willing to forgive you and let you back in. So don't underestimate that. Like, hold on to that now and try and get better for her. That would have been a nice scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really like you said earlier about the doctor leaving Ryan with Hannah and the rest of them went through into the anti-zone. I like to think, headcanon, is that the doctor recognised that they've both been abandoned by their dads and they could use that as a thing to bond with. I like to think that that's what happened. But if I'm like, I really like this episode, okay? There's so much I love. I want to spend like a small amount of time talking about things that I think would make it even better, okay? Because this is me and my brain has been fizzing. So I think it's a shame that Ryan didn't get to see Grace.
I agree.
I'm not sure how thematically it would have concluded, or whether Ryan would have gone in and been like, "You're not Grace," like Hannah was. Maybe we didn't need it. I'm not sure, but I think it is a bit of a shame that they didn't get a chance to meet again. But it's really lovely that Graham did.
And just quickly, does Graham? I think maybe I missed this. Graham doesn't tell Ryan.
No, I think it's Yaz.
No,
it's Yaz.
Right.
It doesn't. We don't see it. We don't see Ryan being told.
Right.
That's another missed opportunity there for a really lovely Yaz moment. I think actually, not the Doctor. The Doctor does enough in this episode. They could have given Yaz a few things like, I think Yaz should have stepped up to try and remove the blade from Ribbons. As a police officer, she would have been trained in how to deal with that kind of situation. And it would have been nice if she just stepped forward and been like, I'll deal with this because I can deal with knives. You've got your sonic screwdriver. I can do this. That would have been cool. I would have given her some agency in that moment rather than just standing there holding a balloon, because that's all she was doing.
The whole episode.
And then similarly, yeah, exactly. And it would have just been really nice if she could have gone to Ryan and said, you know, Grace was there,
right,
and Graham had to deal with that, and that would have been nice for us to see that on his face as well. That would have given them both a lovely moment, I think. I just think they really struggled with Yaz this year. This is the sacrifice of having such a big TARDIS team. Yaz is just there a lot of the time.
Yeah,
and there's even she could have. There's a scene where the Doctor explains, this is my biggest flaw of the episode. Because, you've got to be able to criticise these things. The Doctor's monologue about what could be happening here. Have I ever told you about the solid tract, by the way? Oh, no, let me tell you. Oh, and it turns out it is the solid tract.
Yep.
That I struggle with. Because, first of all, Yaz is there just being like, what do you mean solid tract?
Yeah.
And that's all she does. She doesn't do anything in those scenes. Whereas in the past, we've had companions be like, a bit more involved in that conversation, being like, Doctor, we've got this problem, we've got this problem, we've got this problem. Let Yaz say the problems, then the Doctor can come up with the answers.
My fifth granny told me that.
Yeah, and it's I don't.
Track.
Yeah, and I don't mind all that stuff. Like all the stuff that she's saying is fine, but I just think there's a scene with the Ninth Doctor where Rose is like, tell me what we know, and he's like narrowing it down, and he gets to the Slitheen, and that would have been a perfect opportunity there to use that kind of structure to give Yaz a little bit more. That's the way I wanted that, and if that had been in there, I think that would have given all those characters a really, really interesting arc and story. And then I have to ask you, how do you feel about the frog?
I love the fucking frog.
Love it.
Get that frog in me. I love that frog.
Hated it.
I
Hated
don't actually
it, then
want the
loved
frog
it.
in me, but
Love it now. So wholesome. Actually,
I love it. I love the little puppet.
that.
The little puppet doing his little.
It's practical, and it's so cute.
Yeah.
It's like now when you told me to change, I'm gonna take this memory because I love, and I'm like, this is adorable.
The only thing
cute.
that's a little bit like is when he force pushes them back, and it looks all right when like Grace and stuff are doing it, but when the frog just goes ribbit,
Yeah.
and force pushes them
Love
back.
the frog. Love the frog now.
I do love the frog. Yeah,
I think I think the frog was one of the main reasons this episode was probably quite divisive with people.
Yeah,
I think you
definitely.
go through all that horror.
Absolutely.
You go through the anti-zone. You go through the mirrored zone. It's kind of like, like Wizard of Oz, black and white, then color, and then you're going back. It's all that. But then the frog was the bit where it kind of went, oh, it was a frog. Oh, it could have been anyone from the Doctor's past, because the Solid Tract has the ability to create a whole universe, unlimited amount of space and time.
Where's he?
That's the
It could have been anybody at all. And we know how much Chibbers loves the classic era. You could have had an old companion.
Yeah.
You could have had anybody. It could have been a really interesting point. And it probably would have been more emotional. And had it been the final episode with that in, I think everybody would have been like, fuck, this was good.
Yeah, in tears.
But the frog, for me, like you said, 2018, you're a bit like, oh, it's a frog. Of course it is. Now you're like, oh, but I love Grace. I love Graham. They're wearing the frog necklace. That's so sweet. And it's a simple, lovely puppet.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I like it. And I have a thought that, when the Doctor blows the kiss,
I love
beautiful moment,
which is very beautiful.
my favorite.
It's stunning. And the Solid Tract is like, you are my friend, and I am going to let you go, because now I've seen into you, and now I'm going to dream about you and your adventures. And I can create my own world here with the Doctor travelling. I can travel with the Doctor if I want to. I can choose what Doctor. And I like the idea that the frog can see all of the Doctors from the past, and it's just a really beautiful exchange from the Doctor to the Solid Tract. And I think that what would have been the icing on the cake in that moment, love it or loathe it, if the frog had heard whispers of the timeless child.
Oh.
And because the frog would have known it, because the frog can see, or the frog can see all, and can create what they want based on what they can glean. And I think that would have been a really lovely connection with earlier on in the season and propelling us forward.
Imagine this as the finale, right? And
Yes.
and then the frog's like,
And the
but Doctor,
child
there's
still
something
awaits you."
there's something in your past. Everything you showed me, there's something that I can't figure out. There's something hidden there. And
do
the
you mean,
Doctor's like,
frog?
what? And
There's
something.
words.
There's a the timeless child, and the Doctor's like,
child.
and then that
A
literally
timeless
would,
child.
as an audience, we'd go, there's something to latch onto here,
Wait,
because the timeless child, regardless of how it ended up in season 12, the timeless child was something that we all heard in episode 2 in Ghost Monument, but for so long we were all like, is that just a new name, like the oncoming storm? Like it could easily have just been like a throwaway line like that, right? So, and then it was only when it came up again in
would have been.
I don't even remember. Was it in Spyfall?
No, it would have been Fugitive of Judune.
Yeah, okay. It was only when it came up later that we were sort of
I
like,
don't think it was mentioned in Spyfall.
this is a thing, right?
Yeah.
No,
So that's
I don't think
cool.
It was.
Man, Ed Heim.
Also,
what
a temptation as well.
Yeah.
Like the temptation of the Doctor wanting to stay then, because they're like, hang on, I've heard that before. What does it mean? Oh shit, I've just been blasted back into the anti-zone. I like that. Would have given a really interesting dynamic for that moment as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm putting in other story beats that could be happening in an episode that I really like.
Yeah.
But I just, sometimes when you have time to go back and think about these things, building on what's already a really, really fantastic groundwork of this episode, it could have been top tier straight away. And that's just a shame.
Yeah, I think if it was the finale, then all these other plot lines would be needed. Like I think
would be used. Yes.
And I think in as an episode 9, I think there's a few things with Yaz and stuff that you mentioned that the episode probably did need as it was, but things like a timeless child mention and stuff, that's what you would have liked if it was in episode 10. That's what I think would have been a barrier. What if the frog was the frog saw into her memories and stuff and fully knew the whole timeless child twist and was like, if you stay with me, I can tell you these things. And the Doctor has to decide whether or not she stays with the frog or goes back.
I love that.
No, we're good. Ed Heim, I sure hopes he comes back to write more Doctor Who. This is a joke, by the way, because we all know that he came back to write Orphan 55.
No.
Yes.
Are you joking?
Nope.
What?
Hey, maybe we'll be blown away by Orphan 55 when we watch it, okay?
Two things.
I think you should don't knock Orphan 55 until you've watched it again.
Okay.
All right.
Benny count. Let's go.
Yeah, get the Benny count going. Two last things to say. One thing, we were talking about, I guess, flaws. One thing I will say is there's a comment in the episode where it's like, the doctor's like, did I mention how much I loved my Sonic? And I was like, that's an interesting comment. Why should you bring up the Sonic? And
You
then
sure
like
are using it a lot.
Five minutes later, it's like, I will give you this Sonic if you tell me which way to go. And I was like, okay, fair enough, whatever, I'll let it go. But one last thing I'll say, and this is a tangent, and have you watched The Sopranos, Mike?
I've seen bits. I haven't watched it all the way through.
Okay, and I know you haven't.
I have not, but it's on the list.
The season 2 final, and I'll keep it spoiler free.
Thank you.
The season 2 final is unlike any season final I've ever seen before. It's very much like this episode. And in Sopranos, they use a lot of like dream sequences and all that. And basically, the episode, like Tony Soprano gets food poisoning, and the episode is mostly just like a fever dream, but the episode is like the actual dreams and stuff. And for a show in like the 2000s to do that for like a season final, it was like unheard of. And everyone was like, what was that? Like, that was like the weirdest thing ever. Like, it wasn't even real. Like, we saw so many things that weren't real, and it's like people were confused. They're like, there was a talking fish in it, just like the talking frog. You know, it's like, everyone was like, what was that? But now, with time, when it goes on, after watching the entire show, for me, that's my favorite episode of the show. I love it. It's so great, and it reminded me of this episode. And especially since now we're talking about it being like the possibility of it being like a final, and the talking frog and stuff. It's like these episodes. I feel like the episode's called Funhouse in Sopranos, and I feel like if I had watched that in like 2018, I think as well I'd been like, what was that trash? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, what is this? What are they doing? And now I think I watch it with like a different mindset, and I'm like, this is great. Again, I've said this before, I don't think we'll ever get an episode like this again.
I think we should move on to what has quickly become Australia's favourite segment.
What's that?
It's Big Dick Energy, baby. Sorry, Big Doctor Energy.
You said the uncensored version.
I said the wrong version.
Love it.
Big Doctor Energy, guys. This is the segment, well, it's sort of our moment of the week. You know, maybe it's a little standout performance, a standout scene. You know, what was the Big Doctor Energy moment of the week? For me, I generally go for just something that's really funny. I don't know why. That's just what I've started. You know, it started with, I was saying, Rosa standing up on the bus. That was our Big Doctor Energy moment. Yeah. Now I pick the silliest shit, like Yasmin kicking the pating or something like that. My Big Doctor Energy moment for this week is Graham tackling Ribbons. That just a full chase down tackle. Felt like I was watching the AFL for a second there.
It's like, I'm not much of a bloody. You didn't expect that, did you? Old bloke.
He comes and he takes and he tackles. It's great. I think like it would have been funnier if we actually saw like a good shot of him tackling Ribbons, because they kind of cut away from it, which I understand. As someone that tried to, in a short film once, shoot someone falling over, someone very quickly gave me advice and said, watch movies and TV shows. A lot of the time they won't actually show the character falling, because it is so hard to make look legit. Like, it looks so funny all the time. And so they kind of cut away from it a little bit, and then you just saw like some close-ups of them falling down.
At least.
No, it's just a weird thing to capture. Like, it is really weird. Like, generally, try and challenge for everyone at home. Try and film you pushing someone over or tackling someone. Ask for permission first, of course.
I reckon we could do it.
Okay, that's what we're doing after this.
Yeah, I reckon we could do it.
We're just going to, but not with cameras. We're just going to.
Well, we need to film it. That'd be great.
No, I think we should tackle each other for fun.
Well, who knows what happened then?
Me. Keeping it in the brain.
What's your big Dr. Energy moment?
Yes.
Like?
Okay, I'm going to go with Jodie saying, she's not your wife, she's furniture with a pulse.
Love that. That line is so good.
I like it. I like funny Big Doctor Energy. I think
that line is so good.
Yep.
Love that.
Graham with the Sarnies was a runner up for me.
Oh yeah, it comes back from the Rosa callback. Yeah. I guess for me, to spice up a little bit, I think I really appreciated
Frog.
No, it's not Frog. I thought I'd spice it up. I actually do think that the I guess I watched 10 minutes of the episode last night when I was a bit sent, and what really connected to my heart was when Ryan was like, you know, saying to like Hannah and stuff, like, your dad's probably gone. And I was like, I get it. Like, his character is someone who's dealt with a father who has been absent, and I really felt it, and I really appreciate that they ran with that.
Yeah.
I
liked. I thought it was very clever writing to have Jodie write, knowing that there was a blind.
I love that. Yeah.
Character in the scene to write important information. And on that note, I also want to say that it was really awesome that they cast an actual blind person in the role playing
on Twitter. Lovely,
really?
Lovely woman. Yes.
Ellie Walwork, who played Hannah, or as I like to call her, Han.
Isn't it Hannah?
Han? I don't know. Han. But yeah, I thought that. I thought that Ellie did a really good job, and
yeah, she's actually
she really did
blind in real life, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I really love Chibnall really trying and not forcing in these, whether it's having a bisexual or lesbian companion, or whether it's having someone with a disability, and really not forcing these things down your throat, but just diversifying the show in a way that I think it had been slowly evolving to, but I think Chibnall just really hit the nail on the head with getting it all done.
Any Arctic Monkey fans in the house as well?
I like Arctic Monkeys, yeah. I'm not like a number one fan, but I love a lot of their songs on my big playlist.
On this one,
You don't like them?
Nah, not really.
You suck.
I do.
And you hate the Arctic Monkeys.
You're so funny, Aiden.
I know.
Honestly, just laugh after laugh at this guy.
Plenty of banter. Shall we do some questions and some answers from our lovely audience?
I went on Twitter. I went on Instagram.
Oh, did you ask the Instas for some questions?
Yeah, or as Aiden says, all 4 followers.
All 4 followers got back to Connor.
I'm pretty sure I got more followers than you on Instagram with
Literally,
the 50 Doctor account, so...
Suck my bum. I'm going to hit you up with the first question. Let's all do this. Hazian TTV says, I'm very new to Big Finish's Doctor Who stuff. Only listen to the Chimes of Midnight. What would you recommend I listen to next? I think...
Spare Parts.
I think coming off of Chimes of Midnight is an awesome one to go. It's that same vibe where it's like an hour and a half story or whatever, and it's spooky as well. It sounds spooky. It really fucking sounds spooky, and a really good story.
That's the New Year's Day one or the Christmas one?
What?
Chimes of Midnight?
It might be set. Chimes of Midnight is Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, Christmas. Yeah.
But if you're looking for like a box set, or what actually got me into Big Finish was, I think I did the River Song box set of 3 episodes and the Unit box set of 4 episodes. The two, I think they're classified as like the new series adventures or something like that. And just the fast pace, those familiar characters from the new series. You got Kate Stewart back, Osgood, and a few other really cool characters. And then obviously River Song in her series. I think those are 2 really great series that can get you into Big Finish. Mike, are you a Big Finisher?
I'm getting into it. I've listened to that first River Song box set. I've listened to David Tennant and Catherine Tate's first run of 3 episodes.
Yep. Yeah,
I think with Big Finish, the best thing to do is just to pick a character or a theme that you love and start them and go that way, because there's so much to choose from. I am about to invest in the 9th Doctor series because I really want more Christopher Eccleston, and I'm excited to try it.
I was about to say, with the whole idea of like latching onto someone and jumping in there, I think that's really great. I think 9 is not the best starting place, purely because I think his box set, his first box set, I felt was a little nonsense. Like, I wasn't really following it. It was a little bit Big Finish as you listen to more. There's just lots of techno, like, sound effects. And it's like, here's the alien, it's coming, blah, blah, blah. And for me, it was like a lot of that. I think his stuff has got better.
Has the second season come out yet, or the second box set?
I think they've finished 2 seasons now. So there's like 24
there's been
episodes out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I literally like 2 weeks ago, because they had them on sale, and I was really feeling it because I listened to that Rani Takes the World box set, and then I listened to the first part of the 60th celebration they're doing, which I, to be honest, didn't really like. And then, so I wanted to continue listening to some more, and the 9th Doctor box sets were like $10 off or something. So I got the 4th one of that. That was the one that I was up to, and I really liked it, especially the first episode in that box set. Something about a funeral. I can't remember what it's called, but the 9th Doctor stuff is definitely really worth listening to. But just, you got to get through the first box set. It's not bad, but it's just.
I enjoyed. There's a few of them I've listened to, which the Out of Time series, which has got like a current Doctor with an older Doctor. The David Tennant, Tom Baker one, I really liked.
Yeah.
Really, really like that. It's
Yeah.
got Daleks, it's got time cathedral museum things. It's really good.
Yeah, it's always David with a past Doctor, starting from
Yes.
Baker, and I
Yes.
listened to the other Baker one, Colin Baker. I listened to his one with Colin, purely because I was interested to see how they would do Weeping Angels on audio. It's called Wink, and I was just really curious to see how that would play out. And it was a pretty good set. I liked it a lot. We'll do one more Twitter question. What else could Connor and Aiden do a podcast on? This is from Crispy Pro, e.g. the 50% Succession podcast. I think that if I made another podcast, it would be a film podcast, because I love movies and I love talking about movies. I had this idea for one of my friends who fucking loves like the most B grade, C grade, D grade, E grade horror movies you would ever see, like Land Shark, Destroyer of All, like all these movies that have been made on like $10, terrible CGI.
Yeah.
I thought
Sharknado.
I would love to do, Sharknado, but fucking worse. Like, like I would love, and we kind of talked about it loosely, doing a podcast where it's like every week we sit down and I'm like, okay, here is After Sun, and he's like, okay, here is
I want to watch that.
Shark Blood volcano VFX thing.
No, you don't.
And it's like I force him to watch an incredible movie, or a movie that I consider to be incredible and is, I guess, more like artsy and more critically acclaimed, and he gets me to watch some like bloodbath CGI like Sharknado volcano Bombado kind of bullshit. I thought that would be a really fun podcast, but a movie podcast is what I think I would do.
I think the only other show I could do a podcast on is actually this.
The Simpsons.
Correct. Yeah.
That
is like, if we're going to talk a show that I have probably my second most knowledge on, will be The Simpsons. Sorry, Simpsons, you're my second favorite TV show of all time. Doctor Who takes number one. Firing off these real quick.
Well, hold on. Mike, you've got two ways to answer this.
Oh, right.
You can either answer this as what you would do another podcast on, or what you think we should do another podcast on.
Okay, I have two already, so I am full with doing
Let's
podcasts.
go.
So that's good. So let's do one for you guys. I would like to see or hear, like a sort of Russian roulette podcast. Like you get people to put topics or something random in a bowl, and you have to pick one out each week, and it could be like a task you got to go and do and podcast about it, or like a random film or a random topic you have to talk about for an hour, something like that. Something just completely, you don't know what's coming, you can't prepare, you've got to use your brain and hope for the best. I'd like to see that. Car crash podcast. Love it.
God.
I love that.
I like the idea of like a podcast where, say for just jumping off for me being like a like I said, a movie thing where it's like, yeah, we have a fishbowl full of like really shit movies, really great movies that we really don't want to fucking watch, and we pull one out every week, but it's like we review one of them every week, but the last thing that we do in each episode is pull out the one for next week.
Okay.
And it's like,
you know what's coming.
Yeah, and it's like Sharknado 7, and it's like, for fuck's sake,
7.
We've got to do that next week. And we just at the end of each week picking out what we're going to be doing next week. I like that kind of jumbled roulette idea. That's really fun.
I love this name, Doctor. What am I doing with my life? I love this guy. He says, or she says, when do you think they'll announce the first spin-off? I think Comic-Con.
I reckon they're holding that very close to them right now. I reckon
Unit spin-off Comic-Con.
Unit spin-off starring Mel in Comic-Con. Oh.
Yeah, she'll be there.
Well,
best believe it.
All I'm saying is Gemma Redgrave, or rather Kate Stewart in the Centenary was like, Unit, we're hiring. And it was like kind of like jokey, but come on, guys. Everyone was like, come on, Ace Tegan. What if Ross was like, fuck that, Mel?
I'd like to see Ace and Tegan in it as well. That's okay.
I would also love that, but Mel.
What do you think, Mikey? When's the spin-off announcements?
I think they might not tell us for a little while. I think we might get to the 60th we might get the Shooty special
Okay.
at Christmas, and then maybe they'll tell us in the run up to Shooty's first full season, just to kind of fill that gap and get us excited then. And I
Okay.
think that in terms of spin-offs, I think that it would be really, really cool to just have just some really random one-off spin-offs. You know, like have Russell write for, I don't know, the Paternoster Gang and do a bank holiday special for
That's fun.
them
Like
to
a
have
sitcom
a
Paternoster Gang episode.
that.
yeah, just like a random one-off thing
Yeah.
for Disney Plus, and then maybe like a Sally Sparrow horror type one over here, and then an Eighth
Yeah.
Doctor two-parter over here, and them to just really kind of just build lots and lots of different parts of the universe.
sick.
Because there's so much. I don't think we need to just like put all our eggs in one basket and have Unit Series 1, Unit Series 2. I think
Yeah.
they probably will do that, and I'm quite looking forward to it, to be honest. I think it'll be really good. But I think give smaller supporting parts, like flesh them out. Bring
Yeah.
old companions back for a
That is a
one-off,
good
because
idea,
these
actually.
actors don't want to commit to like 9 months in Wales. I don't know why. It's fabulous. But But like, so no, if Billy wants to play Rose again for a one-off,
Yeah,
let her do a
for a
one-off
one-off,
in
yeah.
that world.
That's a
Why
great
not?
idea.
And then just build it all together and maybe come towards something long-term, kind of like what the MCU did when it was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like what you're saying about the MCU there, because I agree. But also, I one of my things that I don't like about the MCU is how, well, a lot of things, but how now it feels like you're getting like 5 years between movies and stuff. And I don't want Doctor Who to be at a point where it's like we have 6 spin-off shows, but you have to wait 4 years for the next season of it. Like, I want like every 18 months to have a new season of each of these shows, you know? And if that means we only have like 2 spin-offs, that's fine. But yeah, let's maybe throw in a few of these random specials along the way to
Just
open
random,
up different chapters.
yeah.
Maybe one of these specials might spark another spin-off down the road, you know, like, because Sarah Jane
knows?
Adventures was just like a New Year's Day special,
Yeah.
wasn't it? That with
Yeah.
That's
Invasion
Invasion of the
Enemy of the
Bane?
Bane. or
That's
Invasion.
why it's the
Yeah.
only one part special.
Yeah, but it's like an hour long, I
It's
think.
an hour long, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
do, like,
but
Return
they-
to Bannerman Road for 60 minutes. Maybe that might spark, like, a sex
Yes.
education Bannerman Road style show down the line.
Goodness me, Aiden, where are you going with that?
Who knows?
Sex education.
Well, I'm just saying,
version of
these
Batman
characters
Road?
these characters are in their 30s now. We can be a
Goodness
bit more
me.
like, let's deal with those problems that 30-year-olds are
What
dealing
is going
with.
on
you know?
there? Wow.
No, I'm not.
Or if we're going to have like a break between the seasons, give us a Paul McGann season in between the 2 Ncuti
Yeah.
Gatwa seasons.
Oh my
or
God.
give us a 5-part David Tennant and Matt Smith together season or something. Just give us, keep us
that's
going
coming.
all the
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
You know?
Dude, the Matt Smith, David Tennant series is coming.
I'll-
Russell said.
I'll
Russell
say
said.
this, and this is all speculation, but there was rumors that pre-production for Doctor Who's first, well, in this new era, spin-off was set to begin in May this year. That was the rumor for a long time, right?
the Matt Smith Day.
And people were saying it was going to be Unit. And I think I saw William Who posted it on Twitter. You should follow them. They're really good at finding this stuff out
Friend
on
of the show,
Twitter.
by the way, they love us.
William Who posted that just like when Bad Wolf, I think when Series 14 started, Bad Wolf licensed, they created a new business called Whoniverse 1, and they've
Yes.
now created in May, when pre-production was meant to start, I think it was called like Whoniverse 2, or it was like another company. So it's like, yeah, maybe we are ramping up pre-production for a spin-off now, and the assumption is that we're going to go into Series 14 pretty quick after Christmas, like maybe April is the
March,
general
April
vibe.
I guess,
Like,
as
yeah.
was
Yeah.
back in the day.
Easter
Yeah.
kind of time.
So it would be
yeah.
fantastic if we got like 8 Shooty episodes then, and then maybe in like September we got like the 6-part
Well, exactly.
unit
You have that break
serial.
between the season and the Christmas special.
Yeah.
So there's that part in between.
You've got
which I
that
think would be-
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'd be perfect for a spin-off.
What's your next question?
That would be from Sly Zappy One. What classic story are you going to cover next on the podcast? I think we answered that already. It's going to be...
No, Dragonfire will be one of the last ones we do before
I
the
don't know.
60th, because we're going to go from 1 to 7.
Do you know what I think we should do next? The Toy Maker.
No, but half of that's erased from the archive.
I'm just taking it. I don't.
Connor, if I was like, we're watching fucking Tally Snaps, Connor, you'll be like, what? Why am I watching a photo for 24 minutes?
I literally have no idea. I don't know what we can review next. I don't even know what's happening next week.
Well, we're reviewing the Battle of Rensselaer of Collis next week,
but
obviously.
then after that, it's like, I don't know.
We're pretty set. We're pretty set weekly. If we do any bonus episodes, they will not be in the Monday time slot. You know, like Who to Be Buried With and things like that. They will be on the Thursday, which is our bonus time slot. But Monday will always be our reviews, because we want to get through Series 12. So after The Timeless Child, that's when we're going to start going back and looking at some Classic Who stuff. We're going to start we're going to do a William Hartnell special, and then we're going to go through all 7 of the Classic Doctors, because we've done McGann's TV movie. We're talking about doing The Chase for a bit, but after watching it, I think there's maybe some other options we could maybe go for. But yeah, probably something.
Let's re-review Trial of Time Lords with me and Aiden.
or
we should do a Redux review.
Should we do Unearthly Child? Perhaps.
I mean, obviously, I've watched it so many times.
I've never seen I've seen the first episode a couple of times, but I've never seen the stupid caveman nonsense that follows. So.
Oh, so you never watched the whole thing?
No, but I think it's very much like episode.
You're not missing much.
I know it's very much like
the
Unearthly Child is episode 1, and then 2 to 4 it's like caveman nonsense, right?
Yes. Yeah. Basically.
Let's do it. Unearthly. Okay. We'll do it. That's our next classic review. Then. Unearthly Child.
And last question is from. Good old Jimmy.
Jimmy,
who says, what's your favourite Doctor Who show / podcast other than your own?
Not Mad Men with the box.
I've done it twice and it was awful.
Never. Why would we ever go on Mad Men?
Definitely Who Gives a Flux.
Who Gives a Flux.
Obviously, I was graciously allowed on.
Yeah. I would say outside of the obvious Who Gives a Flux answer, which is the best one ever and everyone should be listening to it, probably the first podcast I ever listened to, I want to say.
Who's there?
I listened to a podcast called Script Notes, which is about script writing. But I think maybe
Doctor Who podcast he asked though.
Yeah. So
okay.
But I think even maybe before that is like, honestly, I think like the OG Doctor Who podcast, Big Blue Box podcast. Oh. It's Gary and Adam. Seem like two.
Is that the Geeks Handbag?
Yeah, Geeks Handbag. They just seem like two like true gentlemen, and it's a very like they have a bit of fun. They don't go into bullshit or anything like that, and they are very like review focused. They do a review every week from they've reviewed I think all of Sarah Jane Adventures, all of Torchwood. I think they've almost done all of New Who, but then they've done like loads of Classic Who as well. And the only reason they haven't done all of Classic Who is because there's so much of it. So like they filtered. They used to do like Classic Who 1 week, New Who 1 week, Sarah Jane 1 week, Torchwood 1 week, and as they've made their way through all of them, but they do them in like a random order as well. But they're really really good blokes, and I generally think that's like the first podcast I ever listened to.
What's your favorite non-podcast Doctor Who podcast?
It depends. I love Films to Be Buried With Brett Goldstein, as you know. You can snore if you like. Currently been listening to Off Menu, which is
Off Menu's great.
It's so good, man. So good. Fuck, that's a good question. That's a really good question. But I think a lot of the podcasts I've loved have
asked what mine is?
Come to an end over time. I was, but okay, yeah. You tell me very quickly, and then we'll find out what Mike thinks. Connor's just stripping. Oh, H3. That's all Connor fucking talks about. This 3-hour daily podcast.
My inspiration,
let's move on to what Mike thinks.
Goat.
Yeah, so you guys, listen to you guys because I do listen to all the new episodes.
Namaste.
I listen to Verity, which is a female-led podcast with people from all around the world that come together. There's someone from Tasmania, people from Canada, people from Scotland. They all come together and they chat about different themes and stuff. That's always fascinating, really, really interesting. I listen to A Hamster with a Blunt Pen Knife, which is a Doctor Who commentaries podcast by my friend Joe. So he gets different people on to do commentaries every week. That's really, really cool too. If you are a Classic Who fan, I have to plug To Watch Who. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have seen that.
basically-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this one guy who, Mark, who is a massive fan of Doctor Who and seen them all. His best friend Sarah has never seen them, so they're watching Doctor Who from the beginning of Classic Who all the way through, and that is a really interesting listen. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Non-Who podcasts, Off Menu's great. Table Manners is great with Jessie Ware.
Table Manners. Yes, I've listened to a few of those.
yeah,
They did one
really,
with Russell
really good.
recently. That was great.
H3 podcast.
Yeah, that was really
Says
interesting,
Mike.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
H3.
There's a
Not H3.
There's
Come
a
on.
bunch. I listened to loads. There's some really interesting ones about like mental health and stuff. Will Young does a really, really interesting mental health podcast, which is worth a listen to.
The singer Will Young.
The singer Will Young. Yeah. He takes
used to
a
listen to
different
him.
kind of
Didn't he win-
aspect.
He won X
He
Factor.
won
in the
Pop
UK, didn't he?
Idol.
Pop
Pop Idol
yeah.
back in the day. Yeah. And he does one where he takes on different kinds of therapies each episode and speaks to specialists with those therapies. Or it's fascinating because it's such a prevalent thing right now. Everyone talking about mental health, and it's really interesting to hear all different ways you can help yourself and try different things to get you through. And that's good. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah,
I
you
listen
used
a
to
lot
post
podcasts.
like, I'm taking the dog to a walk. This is the podcast I'm listening to on a walk, and I used to love seeing that.
I stopped doing that. Life got in the way, didn't it? I started doing
Yeah, that's
podcasts
fair.
as my
Would
own
you
lead.
like me
I haven't
to-
got time to
Would you
walk.
like me to-
I can't walk.
I'll do that.
But yeah, but big.
Yeah.
for my one.
The beauty of podcasts is whatever your mood is, there's a podcast for it.
Definitely. And of course, I forgot to say Ted Lasso post match. Obviously, a fantastic Ted Lasso podcast.
If you're a fan of Ted Lasso,
You've got another podcast?
Oh, I don't know.
You've never mentioned it
I've never
before.
mentioned it. I've never said it.
No.
I'm sorry. This is my
on.
what's the, like the YouTube apology video? I'm sorry. I've never announced, but I have a Ted Lasso podcast. So
You should probably start promoting that here.
I should.
You
I
should use these episodes to promote
Not
that.
once.
Why haven't you done that?
Why haven't I don't know. Why haven't
Think a
I?
little bit.
50%'s
That's
first
fine.
spin-off. I forgot to.
Is that still a thing? The spin-off?
It's just when we have the 50% streaming, so 50% plus.
Right.
That's it'll have 50%,
Right, okay.
and then it'll have like Ted Lasso post match.
I'm still.
Maybe
I still don't
we'll
get
buy.
how it's a spin-off.
We'll
but
buy Mike just
just
as
'cause
a
you're in it.
person, and Mike's podcast will be on there.
Buy Mike as a person.
There we
Yeah.
go.
We own.
Yeah.
Mike.
I mean,
We
And
I
it's
mean,
our
I'm
honour
expensive. I am expensive, but I am for sale. So,
Okay, guys, let's give It Takes You away a
my
number
God.
out of 10. We've gone long this week, but it's been fun. So,
Start with the guest, Mike. So you're up.
Mike, hit us up.
I'm gonna go 8.5.
Banging. 8.5. Big score.
I'm also going to go 8.5. Mike?
Connor, don't do this to me, man.
What?
I'm also, and I'm not just going off you guys.
Same.
8.5.
Oh my god!
Fist bump.
Hey!
Camera fist bump. Bang.
I love that.
Fist bumps all
Literally, I
around.
swear on my life, that was always 8.5.
Yeah, I was
Look
tossing
at
up
us go.
between an 8.5 and a 9, but I was like, yeah, it still suffers maybe one or two of the clunky dialogue things here and there.
Yeah,
Not as
I
bad
agree.
as other episodes,
I agree.
but and then also, you know, as we were talking, that whole idea of like some lost potential. Like this is a fantastic episode as it is, but it could have been like the best episode. You know,
It
Like,
really could have.
Yeah.
It really could have.
Yep. Well, that was a good episode. I enjoyed this.
great.
Mike, you've been a great guest. You're a very well-spoken
too.
individual.
Thanks.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
Thank
thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much for having me on for Who Gives a Flux, which we will continue filming soon, and it should be
We
out
will,
soon.
we will.
And I don't know when it'll be out,
Yes.
but thank you for having me on. Aiden,
I'll-
maybe one day.
I'll invite myself on to talk
Maybe one
about
day you'll be on.
Oh,
the
no,
Bells
yeah,
of
you're
St.
coming
John.
on.
I'm at work today, so you know
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Are you shaking my hand? I want to shake your hand. Fantastic. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for listening and watching, everybody. Make sure you check out all of Mike's podcasting endeavors and Twitter and all that kind of thing. We'll have it all linked down below because we love Mike. And make sure you follow
Love
him
you
on Instagram.
guys too.
Thank you.
Kiss. We'll do the Jody kiss.
If you don't donate on Ko-Fi, we won't show up next week.
And you're a fake
So-
fan. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 50Doctor. Subscribe. We want to get to 1,000. And oh fuck, I forgot to say. You should follow my other podcast, Ted Lasso Postmatch.
Wow. And it's our
What?
birthday
You have
today.
another podcast?
I do. What?
You've never mentioned this
know.
before. Why are we only hearing about this now?
I'm sorry. I just. I'm.
Fuck.
Yes. That's all I can say. It's Aiden's Ted Lasso podcast.
Fucking plugging it.
We're doing Ted Lasso
Who
reviews.
What a plug.
Doing Ted Lasso
Who
reviews.
with my two. Hey, happy birthday, 50%.
Let's go.
We love you. Happy 3 years.
Yeah, say. You feel like it sounds like you just ended a rap. You're like, we love you, everybody. Good night.
Well, I do need the toilet, so I'm going, good night, folks. It's
Good
time
night,
to
folks. And that is
Take a waz.
Who Gives a Flux and What's Your Fandom. That's what you guys all should be listening to, not us. Leave. We're done. This is the end of this podcast. Go to the other podcasts, not us. Go to those two. And
That's great.
good night.
Good night, or evening, or morning.